Hey everyone, Brian Von VA here, back at it again with another set of D&D stories. Today, we're going to explore some of the encounters that players were designed to basically run from, but they decided, screw that, we're going to get right on into it. What encounters did you intend for the players to nope right out of, but they didn't? Part 2. The video about people noping out made me think of all the times in games I've been where the party didn't, but probably should have. I'll start. Be me, DM. Be not me. Monk looking to bind a lightning dragon soul to his body so he can have electric stun punches. He's big on non-lethal attacks. The dragon can't share his body, but he can inhabit materials tattooed into his body. He has a willing dragon, an old dragon whose soul and magic is fading from this world, the lack of belief if his kind having weakened him to the point he will soon cease to exist. His only speculation is that his story be tattooed on the monk's back as well as the arm tattoos, and when the monk dies, the tattoos are removed and preserved, so their story will live on. Monk is touched and wants to give this dragon the best he can, so maybe this dragon's soul will live on. He demands the best ways of getting a tattoo. I half-jokingly suggest he could get a tattoo from the god of war, as they were on Mars at the time. He agrees. I tell him the only way to do this would be to see the god of war, and there's no way to get a meeting with him in time. They're on Mars leaving. The only way would be to break into his home. Luckily, the god is kinda cool with this, and it's hard as hell, and anyone who has the stones to do it can pull it off, is cool in his eyes. So he wants to do it. I say the party has to be okay with it. Breaking in requires 3 trials. First is a good mile-thick storm wall with sub-zero temperatures, near hurricane winds, and next to 0 visibility, requiring several stamina checks to get through, along with other checks not to get separated. Part 2 of the first is a thinner part of the storm wall, only a few underfeet thick, but is full of tiny fragments and large chunks of blood ice mixed with the god's blood, that deals massive damage that resists hailing flying around in the winds. Dex saves to avoid the blood ice. Then you are in the realm, made up of the field of the honored dead and Valhalla. Part 2 has material-trained celestial star spirits come down and possesses weapons of the honored dead, taking on the form and abilities of their owners, forcing the fighters into 1v1 fights. Out of character, this is more of a test of their honor and fighting prowess than a fight to the death. Party's supposed to fight with all their might, protect their allies, stuff you expect a warrior to do. Long as they are good warriors, the spirits will let them pass, but it comes off as a no-holds-barred fight to the death, and everyone believes it. Before Part 3, they get to rest, eat, and be merry and heal up first, but they are expected to fight in the arena of their gods for their amusement and prove themselves as warriors. This is definitely a fight or fights to the death with gods know what. Bright side is, if they do all this, they not only get to meet up with the god of war, they get a boon from him as a prize for their fight in the arena. The monk takes this to the party, and they are like, cool, this sounds fun. I tell them there is a storm coming and make passing through the storm wall impossible, and that the storm will last longer than they are there. They opt to jump into the storm wall from above the storm by doing a space jump and find someone willing to take them. This works, mostly. One idiot thought it would be a good idea to raise his local gravity to stabilize his fall. Are you sure? Yes. Are you really sure? Yes. Okay, let's roll the dice. He ended up taken down to 0 HP and lost his right arm and like 1/3 of his torso. But the monk saved him by diving past him, catching him, and then Sanji sky jumping down to the ground to heal him there. He still lost his arm though because the effects of the blood ice. He succeeded in the end, everyone got what they wanted or needed, and the idiot used his boon to get a blood ice arm. He really was an idiot. I could write a book about all the dumb things he did in my game. TLDR, party thinks it's a good idea to B&E to the war god's realm for a meeting with him, because he's cool with it if his minions can beat you around for doing it. One guy almost dies, but they all come out with sweet rewards. First session in the campaign where they all started at level 3. They were on the Guild of Peace in the neutral city of Eshenor, a custom name, and had been assigned with a vital mission to deliver a message in the border of the Eastern Kingdom, as there had been sightings of a mysterious army that treated the peace between the four main factions of the continent. Then the next morning, they woke up to the sound of a charging army. The mysterious army that were attacking the city that was basically the symbol of peace in the continent. They were inside a building with great adventurers and soldiers who were at the ready to give their lives for them so they can get the message to where they were supposed to go. Even told them to get to the back door and make a run for it while they hold the army as long as they could. What I had planned was that when they got to the back door, they were going to be chased by several patrols of guards, sequences in which they were ambushed, but then a path would be opened up by an explosion or by allies who were fighting on the entire city. Hell, even the ending had a freak dragon at the ready for them to escape from, and a final battle with a patrol of soldiers and a mini-boss so they could then get out of the city and go into the woods and start their journey. But no, they decided to stay on their feet and get involved in the main battle because their mission wasn't important at all in comparison to dying as regular soldiers and what I made sure to be a clearly already lost battle. What ensued was an improvised fight with some regular soldiers and an ogre, followed by what I could improvise of a cutscene where every single ally they had was dying falling in battle around them. The last one being a wizard which used teleport on them and transported them to a hill outside the city, which actually was where they were supposed to go before making a run for it in the woods and start their journey. Overall, they enjoyed it and didn't notice they broke my plans until the end of the session, where I joked about it since I thought it was obvious. So that's a win in my book. I don't really know if we were supposed to nope out of this encounter, but the one that springs to mind would probably be Kingsport. Spoilers for the Rime of the Frost Maiden ahead, so if you are playing this campaign, please tune out or skip to the next story. Characters are Frog the Ranger, Marcos the Artificer, Igneo the Rogue, and Zaza the Bard. Bonus NPC appearance from Velin and Professor Scant. Our party was exploring around the netherest city of Ythrin when we decide to pay a visit to the library. While there, we run into Skirvinskri, a jackal-headed demon attended to by a large, eyeless penguin named Kingsport. Skirvinskri is friendly at first and requests our help with finding some sort of book, and we oblige. Kingsport approaches Frog with a scrawled note containing one word: help. I don't quite remember if we tried to partake in slave trade to purchase Kingsport from Skirvinskri, but the outcome was inevitable. Zaza scooped Kingsport into her bag of holding, and we all rolled initiative for combat against a 16th level spellcaster. Did I mention we were around level 10? In any case, we managed to survive long enough and hit Skirvinskri hard enough to send him teleporting away, and we got the fuck out of there. We nearly died, but we got a penguin out of the deal. He mostly chilled in the bag of holding, I get that there, positioned so that his head would peek out for unlimited air. He even managed to learn Mage Hand somehow later on in the campaign. I've posted it before, and I'll post it again. Hey, I applaud your cojones. My group and I are currently chewing through Curse of Strahd. We're still pretty early in the campaign, so maybe light spoilers. Hey, everybody out there, spoilers for Curse of Strahd. You've been warned. At the beginning of this session, we're level 3, so keep that in mind. We are made up of a Dragonborn Paladin, a Tiefling Wild Magic Sorcerer, a Halfling Divination Wizard, a Human Cleric, a Human Rogue, and a Kobold Barbarian, me. The DM started the session with a random combat encounter against a group of wolves while we were escorting Irina from Barovia to Valakai. The party wizard casts invisibility on her and tells her to book it. Mistake 1. We eventually win combat after some garbage rolls. Now we had to track Irina down, because the wizard just said book it. We barely passed these rolls. Along the road, we encounter the body of a dead child, killed by magic. My character vows vengeance for the child, and the cleric asks to bring the body with us so that he can perform last rites once we make it to Valakai. Eventually, we track our charge to the windmill. Old Bone Grinder Mill. Inside, we find a lovely lady making the pies that some of us had back in Barovia. as well as some ingredients to the pies. Our wild magic sorcerer got curious and started investigating. The DM is trying his hardest to steer us to noping out. 3 nat 20s later, he's exclaiming that they're the bones of children. I turn to the DM and say, "Jonathan the Small yeets himself at the lady." The DM calls a break. Myself and the wild magic sorcerer step out to have a smoke. The wizard and cleric join us. We discuss how we're going to brutally murder a little old lady. Mistake 2. On how this is going to be an easy encounter. Mistake 3. We all step back inside to see that the DM has something queued up on YouTube from Doom Eternal. He warns us that the music isn't for us and gave us an out to rewind things. The party agrees that we've made our bed and it's time to lie in it. Keep in mind the party is not at 100%. We are fresh off the combat against 6 wolves where we didn't do all that great. Combat starts with the DM explaining on how the woman morphs into a hag. Initiative is rolled. The party argues that I get a surprise round, and the DM says not to bother, that half the party's initiative was higher than the hag's. The wild magic source whiffs all his hits. The rogue is out of position and can't get close enough to hit. I go, I crit. I max out my damage. Hag goes and whiffs. The paladin calmly walks over and crits, does a huge amount of damage, not max but very close, then throws in a smite just for funsies. The hag goes down, but not before screaming for help. Her sister comes down from upstairs, and another one appears at the door in a crack of lightning. DM rolls for their initiative. The sister casts polymorph on me, and I get frogged. And the one at the door takes a huge chunk of health off the paladin. It continues like this with the hags wrecking our shit for 2 turns before the wizard throws a magic missile at the one who turned me into a frog, breaking her concentration. It's a brutal combat encounter, and the DM kept giving us outs, like blowing a hole in the wall of the mill or moving the 3rd hag away from the door. We fought on. The wizard goes down. The paladin goes down. The rogue can't hit a damn thing. The wild mage sorcerer's spells keep fizzling out. I go down. Someone gets the paladin back up. Who gets the wizard up? Who gets me up and jumps out the hole in the wall? Cries of "Coward!" are heard. The wizard is actually flanking to get a clear line of fire for a spell. The 2nd hag finally goes down to the cleric after having beaten it to death over the course of 4 rounds. The 3rd hag is made of tougher stuff, however. Eventually, we take the final hag down just due to the action economy being heavily skewed in our favor. The wizard actually gets her with a firebolt that rolled low on damage. And for once we decided to pillage then burn. And thank the gods we did. There were surviving children on the 2nd floor waiting to be turned into pies. The DM was expecting us to do the usual burn the remember to pillage. We jumped from level 3 to level 5 that night. TLDR, party already weak from one encounter takes on a hag coven and somehow pulls a win out of its ass. Saves kids before committing arson, gains 2 levels, and some magic gear. Hey everybody, Brian Von VA here, back at it again, checking in after the vid. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and you know what to do, ring that bell. Why? So you can get notified whenever we post a new video, or in case we go live on here. And if you want to catch us live, check us out on Twitch. You'll see the link in the description below. Hey, do you got a story to tell one of us that you want us to read out loud to you? Do so on r/MrRipper. And if you would like a little bit more funsies, make sure to check out Riptovia. That's our secondary YouTube channel with a lot of similar but different stories that will definitely satisfy your desires for all things TTRPG related. And if you want to come say hi to me, Brian Von VA, please do so on Twitch and on YouTube. Everything will be in the description below, link-wise. As always, I try to end things on a slight positive note, and today is no different. With the year slowly coming to an end, I just wanted to say thank you guys and gals for appreciating yourselves and for appreciating others. And if you honestly don't love yourself, now's the time to start trying to learn. It's not easy, and believe me, it's not a road that everyone can travel without help. But it's never wrong to ask for help, especially when it comes to trying to make yourself the best you that you can be. All the love, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.